Today's video features a dynamic vocalist and skilled harmonica player. This vocalist, blues informed soul, achieved considerable popularity during the 60s and 70s. Later generations found this vocalist snappy, joyous albums, giving him a second life. The centerpiece of today's story is all about Syl Johnson. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Sylvester Thompson was born on July 1st, 1936 in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Thompson comes from a musical family. He is the brother of bassist Matt Thompson and guitarist, also vocalist Jimmy Johnson, as well as his father, who was a well-known harmonica player. Thompson and his family relocated to Chicago, Illinois in the early 50s. Now, after moving to Chicago, he was neighbors with Magic Sound. Thompson grew up in a musical family, therefore he was able to adapt and play almost any instrument. He began his music career in the mid to late 50s, playing alongside great blues singers such as Magic Sound, Billy Boy Arnold, Howlin' Wolf, and Junior Wells. In 1959, he performed and recorded with Jimmy Reed for VJ Records. Following the collaboration, Federal Records owner Sid Nathan proposed that he change his surname from Thompson to Johnson. That same year, he made his solo debut on Federal Records with the single Teardrops.
Until I fell for you.
Now with Federal, his songs didn't do too well, so he kept a day job as a truck driver. After numerous years of recording for small labels and performing at smaller clubs, Johnson began to record for Twilight and Twin Night Records in the mid-60s. While with Twilight, Johnson had hits like Come On Sock It To Me,
You got to dance, come on and dance for me, come on and dance now.
and Different Strokes.
Any ways that one can play, do the shing-a-ling or the funk.
Johnson dominated the label with his hits and producing abilities. Twilight Records had an alternate name since another label had that same name before them. Therefore, Twilight Records became Twin Night Records. In 1968, Johnson released the single Dress Is Too Short.
Baby, 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 you wear your dresses too short, yeah.
That same year, he published his debut album, which had the same name. Johnson, like many other black artists during this time, penned songs on African American identity and social issues. Is It Because I'm Black is the most recognizable song that reflects on these activities.
Only add color to my tears. Oh.
This song is one of the most effective songs of the Civil Rights era. In 1970, he released his second album under the same name. That same year, he had two charted singles with Concrete Reservation
Got lost somewhere. The neighbors upstairs have
and One Way Ticket to Nowhere.
it took a one-way.
That next year, producer Willie Mitchell introduced Johnson to High Records. Now with this new deal and new sound, partnering with Willie Mitchell, in 1972 he released the tracks The Love You Left Behind,
You can always find a woman with love,
and We Did It.
girl. It took a lot of doing, a lot of renewing. We made
In 1973, Johnson released the album Back for a Taste of Your Love, along with the title song.
me. Little by little.
That next year, he released the album Diamond in the Rough. which was followed by charting singles I'm Yours,
Friends try to put me down, telling lies all over town.
Lick Yourself Go,
You feeling bad, you need some loving when you really
and I Wanna Take You Home.
the folks at home. I don't know why it took so long.
In 1975, Johnson released his fifth album titled Total Explosion, which was followed by charting singles Take Me to the River,
How to have you, yeah. I wanna know what you tell me.
and I Only Have Love.
I only have love for you.
Now the song Take Me to the River was initially performed by Al Green. Now ironically, Johnson was in Green's shadow, commercially if not creatively to some degree. Producer Willie Mitchell decided to employ mostly in-house tunes over Johnson's original tracks, which could have played a part into why he was overshadowed. In 1976, Johnson had two charted singles with Star Bright, Star Light,
I wanna tell my wish.
and About to Make Me Leave Home.
I never
That next year, he had one charted single with Goody Goody Good Times.
goody good time. What's stopping it?
In 1979, Johnson released the album Uptown Shakedown. After leaving High Records, Johnson released two albums for his own label called Shama Records, which was distributed by Boardwalk Records. Johnson's final charted single came in 1982 with the song Miss Fine Brown Frame. Around the 80s, Johnson mostly retired from performing, occasionally making appearances at blues clubs. Now during this time, he opened up a chain of seafood restaurants and began to invest in real estate. In 1992, several hip-hop stars including the Wu-Tang Clan, Public Enemy, Kool G Rap, MC Hammer, De La Soul, and the Ghetto Boys all sampled Johnson. This stimulated Johnson's interest into making a music return. Now when Johnson came back until the end of his career, he released 9 more albums. Johnson was one of the most sampled musicians ever. He was certain that copying music from original artists without due pay constituted in theft. Thus, he sued several musicians since he was never acknowledged for any of the tracks that was sampled. As he would say, there's no such thing as a sample. Stealing is stealing. On February 6, 2022, Johnson passed away from congestive heart failure at the age of 85, just 6 days after the death of his brother Jimmy. Now, to my understanding, Johnson has 3 daughters with Celeste, Celicia, and Selena Johnson. Now during my research, I came across interviews with Mr. Johnson, and I was reading the comments, and I seen that it was a lot of comments that claimed that former NFL player Chad Johnson was his son. Now, if you've been on my channel for a while, then you know I won't talk about a situation unless I can prove it. And in this case, I can't necessarily say that it's not true. All I know is that during my research, I found that Chad Johnson's parents' names are Sam Brown and Paula Johnson. But if you Google it, it does come up. So hopefully this video come across Mr. Johnson family to clarify this. Now, before we go, I have a few questions for you all. What is your favorite song for Syl Johnson? Also, what Hall of Fame do you think Syl Johnson deserves to be in?